Today, I'm going to talk about several questions I get all the time about chickens and eggs. Let's go.
I'm Becky. I used to live in the consumer rat race just like you. But one day, I had enough, so I sold it all, moved to the country, and built my own log cabin with my own two hands. Now, I spend my time discovering new ways to live a simple, healthy lifestyle with more free time and way less stress, then sharing what I've learned with you. Welcome to Becky's Homestead.
It's very frustrating when you think you're doing everything right, but it's all going wrong. Your chickens aren't laying any eggs, or they're laying little tiny eggs, or maybe they're not laying at all. They're eating their eggs. Hens are picky little animals that need exactly what they need, or they just don't lay eggs properly. And it's really easy to fix. All you have to do is feed your chickens a little bit of meat every single day. They don't need pounds of meat, tons of meat. You can just picture free-range chickens that, not too many. I'm not talking about 100 of them. Just picture maybe 3 to 5 in your yard, wandering around looking for bugs. They probably, if nobody's spraying anything to kill the bugs, they're probably getting enough bugs to lay the eggs. They're getting enough meat every day. But if you have a lot of chickens, they just wipe the bugs out. There's not that many bugs in your yard, so you need to add the meat to their diet. Or maybe you have to keep your chickens in a coop, which is perfectly fine if the coop is big enough and they're happy in there. But of course, you're gonna have to add meat to their diet every day. So as long as you do that, those chickens will lay eggs. You'll be surprised how great that works. Just adding a little bit of meat to the diet every single day. And the other things you feed them isn't as important, because as long as they're getting the meat, chickens will eat anything. They're not picky. They're great in that sense. They'll eat all your leftovers, and they're not that picky. You can probably buy some just, pre-mixed chicken food in the store. And I know everybody's gonna say, well, there's protein in that chicken feed. It's 22% protein. But here's the problem. They need meat, not vegetable protein. They need animal protein. So that's fine and dandy if your chicken feed has all that plant protein in it. Awesome. But they also need the meat. So you can just feed both. Just add the little bit of meat to their diet. The second thing that could keep your hens from laying eggs could be your coop setup. Chickens need way more room than people think. The number one problem is people overcrowd the chickens, and then it's just a disaster. The chickens just won't lay eggs. They'll eat each other's eggs. Like, a lot can go wrong if you overcrowd your coop. So make sure, just control yourself. Don't buy too many chickens. It's easy. Well, it's kind of hard when they're little and cute, but control yourself. Okay, so you need a big roomy coop, and you need your coop in a place where nothing's going to bother your chickens. There's no dog running around the coop barking at them. No little kids. The little kids can't help it. They are interested in the chickens, and they'll toddle after the chickens maybe, or even run if the kids are a little bigger. And you're thinking, oh, well, they're not hurting anything. Well, they're not like damaging the chicken, but they're stressing the chicken out, and stressed chickens can for sure stop laying eggs. So you want to keep the chickens quiet. So you don't want anything chasing them, barking them, disturbing them, like just something getting them. They don't like that. And so make sure you have a nice nest box. And I find personally, chickens just love a wooden nest box. I'll build a wooden one, and they love that one the most. So there's a gazillion ideas on nest boxes, but I'm just telling you what I've noticed over the years, and it works fabulous. And I just try to please the chicken so it keeps laying eggs. So that's why I do a wooden nest box, because I want them happy. Okay, so make sure they have a nice nest box. If they fit in there nicely, it's in a private place, put a little hay in there, and that'll solve that problem. The next thing about the chickens laying, they have to be old enough. You know, a lot of people don't know the age range that, well, chicken will start laying eggs, and they'll think, oh, why isn't this chicken laying eggs? Well, if it's a young chicken, let's say by the little babies, cute little babies, you have to wait until they're old enough. Now, there are hybrid chicken breeds, there's heritage chicken breeds, there's a lot of mixed breeds in there, which of course would make them the hybrid, but a lot of crosses in there and all that. So I just give them an average range, I've noticed through the years. And I'll say, this is giving them plenty of time to mature. So I say between 4 and 10 months, most chickens, you know, will be laying eggs by then. Now you might have a little oddball once in a while that, you know, waits 12 months or whatever. You might have one that starts laying really early. So we're not talking about those. We're talking just an average 4 to 10 months. So just take good care of them, give them everything they need, and then just wait, just be patient. The next question I get all the time, like so many times, is their chickens are laying soft eggs. And when you go out there and you see a soft egg, you're kind of like, ew, that's weird. Like, it's weird to pick it up. Sometimes it's so soft, it'll break, but sometimes you can like pick it up and it'll squish, and it's really weird if you've seen one. But if not, anyway, you'll know how to fix it now. Chickens need so much calcium to form an egg. Just picture in your mind to form an eggshell every day. They just need so much calcium in their body. And also, a lot of people don't know this, but the muscles they need to start forming the egg and then pushing it down through their body, through their system, and it's developing as it's going, takes muscle contractions. Well, in a chicken, those muscle contractions use so much calcium. And then they need extra strength at the end of the line because she has to push the egg out and lay the egg. So those muscles just need a lot of calcium. So between the two, the eggshell and the muscle contractions the chicken needs to lay the eggs, if your chickens aren't getting enough calcium, there's just not enough there. There's just like, you know, the tank's empty. There's not enough there to make the eggshell properly. And then some chickens, you'll find a problem of being egg bound, which is the same thing. It gets to the end of the line there and there's just not enough calcium in those muscles to contract and lay the egg, which to me, egg bound is worse than soft eggshells. Egg bound chickens are, you feel sorry for them, they're hard to deal with, it's just a mess. So you want to avoid that at all costs. If you know how to avoid it, just do it. And I'm going to tell you how you do it. You have to go to the feed store and you're going to buy a bag of crushed oyster shells. Here's the bag of crushed oyster shells that I use. I bought this bag at Tractor Supply, but obviously through the years I've gotten it at feed stores. Sometimes they'll have it subdivided into little unmarked plastic bags, smaller amounts of it. So it doesn't matter, like whatever kind and however many chickens you have, you just have to buy the appropriate amount. And as you can see, it just looks like a little pile of white rocks. And on the bag, it says pellet-sized crushed oyster shell and coral calcium. And you just want to see there, it says a great source of calcium. Heat treated for purity. And this little bag was 50 pounds. Like I said, it's weird how heavy it is when you pick it up. You'll get this little bag and you think you can just pick it up and throw it in the cart and you're like, whoa, that thing's pretty heavy. So anyway, they crush up these oyster shells and then they use it as a product for the chickens, and it works. It works so perfect. What I do is I will get a can, like a soup can, whatever, vegetable can, if you just happen to have a can of some kind. I just use that as a scoop. It's so easy, you know, it's cheap, you know, free, basically, you're recycling. And then I'll just scoop I call them rocks, but they're not rocks. It's the crushed oyster shells. Just scoop a scoop of that, a whole can, and I just dump it in the run, just in the dirt, in the ground, because, you know, that's where they're going to be looking for it, to tell you the truth. And they'll pick around and scratch around. And I'll do that about every month. When I can't see any, or there's just a few of the bigger pieces left, just add more, because I don't know how many chickens you have. So if you know, you have tons of them, obviously you're gonna have to put a lot of that out there. But if you just have a few, a can will work. So that'll solve that problem of the chickens not having enough calcium. That will fix the problem. Get some crushed oyster shells and make sure for their whole life you feed those to your chickens. Okay, so the next thing is laying tiny eggs. You know, people will go out there and they'll see a little tiny egg and they're just like, oh, like that's a cute little egg, like it's so cute. And then they'll, of course, they're like, can I eat it? Is there something wrong with it? And you know, you'll get a million worries and a million questions. But what you have to do is realize chickens that first start laying eggs, they're, you know, young chickens, maybe it's their first egg, and usually for sure this is the case, you'll get a little tiny egg. So don't worry, it's fine. It's just like, it's just the whole system, the whole egg tract in there, the whole egg factory is just getting ready. It's the first time. It's just gonna have a little egg. And you might have a chicken lay a little egg and then a week or two will pass. You're like, oh, it just laid one little egg and stopped. Like, give it a chance. I constantly tell people, wait, give it a chance. It's like things need time. We're dealing with nature now. We're not dealing with the rat race of people rushing around in cars. Like, we're getting in tune with nature. It takes time. Give it a chance. Don't worry so much. That's the key. Don't worry so much. So just wait. Maybe the second egg, a week or two or a few days later, is going to be little again. And, you know, as time goes on, it's going to everything gets sorted out. The egg factory gets running good and you'll have regular eggs. And they'll be the normal size. As long as you make sure like you're giving them everything they need that I'm telling you in this video. Make sure they have all that available to them. And then things will get going. Perfect. Don't worry about it. Now again, once in a while, you'll have kind of an oddball chicken that'll lay abnormally little eggs. And that's just like, you just realize like, oh, that's just the eggs she lays, like little weird eggs. And obviously something isn't quite right in there. So whatever it is, you know, I find the chickens that I've had in the past that do that usually don't live a long life. Like they seem like they live life. They seem like they live a healthy life. I just find they haven't lived a long life. So I don't care. I just still love them and take care of them the best I can and try to give them everything they need. Also, one thing people need to remember, they might never have heard of this before, is the older the hen gets, the bigger the eggs get. So as she ages, she will lay bigger and bigger eggs, which if you can keep your chickens laying for years, which that's my goal in life, I love to keep my chickens laying as long as I can. And it's just so fun. You get so attached to them because they'll live so long if you take good care of them. Okay, well, I just want to tell you that. So the older the chicken gets, the bigger the eggs will get. So once you get a chicken that's 5-6 years old and it's still laying good, oh, you'll get huge, nice, beautiful eggs. They'll be amazing. You'll be like, look, these things are jumbo. So, of course, it depends on the breed too, you know. A bigger hen's going to lay bigger eggs naturally than a little tiny hen. So just try to keep them laying and enjoy those eggs. The next thing I want to talk about, because I get so many questions about this, is their chickens will be eating their eggs. And it's so funny because this seems to freak people out the most of all things. Like, oh, like they think it's weird. Like, I don't know why. That just seems to freak people out when the hens start eating their own eggs. So, okay, it's not a big deal. You know, animals aren't people. They don't have our reasoning ability. And number one, I always say to people, you're probably not feeding your chickens enough. They're probably not getting meat every single day. And so they're hungry. So that egg gets a crack in it, a hairline crack. You might not even see the crack. It just happens. And then pretty soon they figure out, oh, there's like some good food in there. And they'll just start eating it. You know, they're not getting enough from you or from, you know, your yard or whatever. So, I mean, they're animals, they're opportunistic. They're going to go for the food. Even if it's their own eggs, they figure it out. So the best thing you can do is start feeding your chickens a little meat every day. And, you know, it might take a week for them to be like satisfied, and then they won't care about their eggs anymore. Because, you know, Mother Nature, obviously, if they ate their own eggs, there wouldn't be any chickens on the planet. If that were the case, you know. So they don't want to do that. Like, you know, they just do it because they're hungry or they're not getting enough meat in their diet. So make sure you feed them enough meat. And I clean the box right away, you know, when they do that, when they have the egg yuck in the nest box. I clean it right away. Also, try to collect your eggs early every day. Like, you know, if you realize, oh, my chickens are done laying by 12, like try to get all your eggs out of there. Go out there at 12 and get them. Or, you know, if you might work all day and still have the chickens. So as soon as you get home from work, like get out of the car, go to the coop, get the eggs, go in the house. Like try to collect them as soon as you can. Don't leave eggs laying around the coop for a few days, couple days. That's never a good idea no matter what. So try to get your eggs every day as early as possible. Of course, I never interrupt the chickens that are laying. You know, you could just peek in there, and if somebody's in the egg box, you know, the nest box, just, okay, you're too early, wait, they're not done yet. Give them a chance. I wrote this little book for beginners. I know there are so many people out there trying backyard chickens for the first time, which of course I think is awesome. I think that's wonderful for families, for kids. You're gonna be eating some good homegrown food. Plus it's fun. It's just amazing. I can't go on and on enough about it. You'd all be like, okay, shut up, enough about the chickens. But anyway, it's so awesome. So I wrote this little book, and it's Becky's Guide to Raising Backyard Chickens. And what's so good about this book is it covers the basics. You know, it's always good just to get the basics down first, and then you can take it from there if there's, you know, some weird problem comes up. But you want to cover the bases on the basics first. And that is what I've written in this book. So Scott always puts a link in the description, and you can click on that link and you can get the book if you need it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Happy homesteading. Bye-bye. What are you chickens doing? You hear me talking? Tick, 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 tick. Ticky, ticky, tick, tick, tick.